What's going on, everyone? Nick Filato here to talk about the Giants' final pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, UCLA linebacker Darius Muasau. This is a very smart and instinctive linebacker who has some limitations. There are going to be some hurdles for him to overcome regarding his measurables and his athletic ability. Despite some athletic limitations that we'll go over in this video, he has pretty solid short area quickness, and he does a good job dipping underneath blockers to present his numbers when he's coming downhill. He diagnoses, understands his run keys, triggers quickly, and navigates through gaps like he has a GPS. He has Mike experience at UCLA, and you can see all throughout his tape how much he communicates with his teammates. So without further ado, let's get into some Darius Muasau tape to see what he can offer the New York Giants. We're going to start with a bunch of just positive plays in run defense. If you want to use a player like Muasau, stacking him like UCLA did quite often, not all the time because he was used all over the line of scrimmage, but as you can kind of see on this play, he's stacked behind this two-eye shade, one technique if you want to call him that. Offensive linemen can't easily access him when you have a 350, if the Giants have a player this big. Dexter Lawrence.
That man is huge, bro. That man is giant.
If you have a player like that, occupying space on the line of scrimmage. But we're going to just see incredible instincts from Muasau, control, through blocks. Again, he leverages gaps very well. Diagnoses, anticipates where the ball carriers are going to go. Excellent eye discipline when reading his run keys. See again, he's stacked slightly behind that nose. Gets outside. Look how much is going on in the backfield of this offense. But it's ultimately just GH counter. You see the guard pull. Muasau reads that. Then he sees the H back pull. Quarterback goes in the mesh point. Quarterback keeps it. And then Muasau shows the quarterback some bash by hitting him low and forcing a fumble on 4th and 1. His last two plays were both 4th and 1 situations where Muasau came up huge for his defense. This one was returned for a tutty. You're going to see that throughout his tape. Him just sifting through and positioning himself well, dodging blocks, optimal positioning, key and diagnose skills. I wish he was a little bit stronger at the point of attack once offensive linemen get up to him. There are some plays in here that show good hand pop, good positioning, low base, ability to slip to the half man portion of a climbing offensive lineman and then get around him. But there are a lot of plays too, as you'll see a little bit later on, where offensive linemen can climb up into his chest and just eliminate him because he's like 5'11". That's an issue. That's a big issue. But he has a quick trigger when he comes downhill. When there were counter plays or when he was playing power gap concepts, he can lever and he could spill, meaning he could hit outside to contain inside, which is a lever, and a spill is to hit inside to contain outside. Lever, I also term as box sometimes, if you've watched my videos for a while. We're going to see a quick trigger right here on a pin pull concept. Tackles pulling around the pin. Muasau beats the slot receiver to the crack block, and he gets pissed off at himself, but good play by Muasau. Here sifting through, making tackles. Look, I know he's a little bit older. He just turned 23. He had those 3 seasons at Hawaii before he transferred to UCLA for the final 2 years. Started 51 of 63 career games. So he has a lot of experience. So he should be able to process offenses as well as he does. He's led his respective defenses in tackles each of his last 4 seasons. I would say what's even a little bit more practical for the Giants, at least, is his past 573 career special team snaps that are in his portfolio. And he also won the 2019 Hawaii Special Teams MVP honor. You see the pop on contact that I'm talking about right here against 70. USC, 2023. Boom, there's pop. That's knockback. Now, this isn't consistent with Muasau State, but I feel like too much he allows that offensive lineman to control him and steer him away from gaps. But here you see pop. You see 70's numbers just fly back towards the camera. And then he's able to get to the tackle point. Almost misses that tackle. I feel like his short arms and his lack of tackle radius definitely hurt him. But he positions himself well, generally speaking. There, again, you can see in pursuit. Goes in a little bit too high. Bucky Irving's able to dip underneath. And I'm happy that he's able to position himself well. But he has to finish the tackle, which who does that sound like? Sounds a lot like 2023 Micah McFadden to me. And I think these are different players. They're not the same. I think Micah McFadden has developed in the sense of seeing the box as well as a Darius Muasau. Darius Muasau sees the offense so much better than Micah McFadden did at Indiana. But they also were asked to do totally different things. I think McFadden's better coming forward. He's a better blitzer than Muasau. But both of them have some tackling issues. And I think a lot of that stems from subpar measurables. And Muasau was worse off than McFadden in that department. But Muasau is a tough, smart, tough, dependable player if you want to use the motto of the New York Giants right now. He positions himself more optimally than a Micah McFadden, and he is much better in zone coverage with much better spatial awareness than a Micah McFadden. And I actually think this is a low-key camp battle that could turn into Darius Muasau taking snaps away from Micah McFadden. We've seen this coaching staff, or at least Brian Dable, bench Micah McFadden in the past, although Micah McFadden has played much better in the 2023 season. Muasau, he's got something to him, despite his limitations. And I love when I see him use his hands like we're seeing on this play. It's against Boise tight end. Stack set to the inside. 93 does a really good job penetrating to force the running back off his spot. Muasau reads that as well. And beautiful little swim over the top. He's dictating that entire interaction with this tight end. The tight end tries to make contact. Muasau initiates the contact, explodes low to high, resets his anchor, sets to the inside, realizes the inside is not a threat, goes back to the outside, then uses his hands to shed the contact. That's a beautiful play by Darius Muasau. Again, dip. We showed this one a little bit earlier. When he can do this, have that lower body flexion to dip around. I love seeing this from Muasau. I got to say, I think McFadden does probably a better job slipping blocks in this type of situation. But Muasau has it on his tape as well. Now, in this play, Muasau reads exactly what's happening. You see the down blocks. You see, this is what I mean by read your keys. Bo Nix is going to take this football. This is going back to 2022. Nix catches it, and Muasau sees how the center pulls automatically. He sees how the tackle pulls automatically. And then the down block by the guard and the down block by the play side offensive tackle. And Muasau is getting right to where he needs to be. Now he takes on the block, but the block pushes him back, and Nix is able to pick up a solid gain here. Plays like this, where it is a little creative and Muasau has to take on blocks in space, it's going to be difficult for him once the offensive tackle beats him to the set point for Muasau to get around it, because Muasau is physically limited. So there might be plays where he gets pushed back like this. This is not a positive play for him, even though he positioned himself optimally. These are the type of struggles that he's going to have to attempt to overcome. He must be really smart with his positioning as he was in college, but he also has to work on consistently avoiding the clean contact. It's not always that easy, though. Sometimes you got to take on that lead blocker and you need to get bailed out by your teammates, but if your teammates aren't there, then it makes you look really bad. Here's some sifting through in pursuit, making tackles. All right, I want to show this play because I think it really highlights how smart Darius Muasau is. I don't know if this is a coaching point, but I want you to look at this defense 2023 against San Diego State. Darius Muasau was circled. So he is the Mike linebacker in the middle of the field outside of the hash. You see where the hash is, okay? And this defensive structure is going to take this typical pre-snap contained defender, and he is going to aggressively blitz him. So this defender is going to blitz. And now here's the end zone copy. Darius Muasau understands the defensive strategy and positions himself so well to act as the contained defender off of that pressure, to be a safety valve if that pressuring number 36 does not get home and make a play. 61 gets pinned. There's no contain. Muasau works over the top of all of them, then sets to the outside to make the tackle and to act as the contained defender when he was initially aligned on the opposite hash. It's probably a coaching point, but this is also just excellent little like football nerd technique, maintaining the continuity of the defense, helping your teammates out. Again, probably a coaching point, but it stuck out to me on tape to showcase how smart he is and also how he's able to battle through the contact, much bigger offensive player, still set outside, and sink your weight and present your back, the back of your numbers to that tackle so he can't gain access to your chest because you were limiting your chest and restricting access to it, and then you actually make the play. I don't know why, man, because if he doesn't get out there, all you have is this cornerback, to go back to the high angle, all you have is that cornerback right here to be the defender. You can't just rely on that. So Muasau was able to get over the top, This is just one of the many plays to highlight how smart he is. Also, I think just his overall instinctive nature is another reason. Here's the communication skills. I think I showed this play a little bit earlier in the video. Because he gets out and he makes his interception. Huge play for Darius Muasau. And here, to go through some of his ability in coverage, the athletic limitations are going to hinder how effective he is against man coverage. It's just the reality of the situation. But he is a damn good zone defender, and I can show you some of the reasons why. We have an empty set. This is going to be a cover 2 defense, Tampa 2. Darius Muasau is tasked to guard the deep middle hook in a Tampa 2 defense. So naturally, since there's 3 wide receivers to the field side, Darius Muasau, he's going to open at the snap and he's going to face the 3 receiver side. But as we see here, there's going to be an under call. The number 3 receiver, the innermost receiver, he runs an under. So Muasau reads that, orients his hips back to the middle of the field because you have a 3/2 now to the field side. You have a deep safety and you have both the number 2 and the number 1 wide receivers are marked up. So Muasau gets his eyes on the quarterback to see what the quarterback is doing. And he sees the quarterback stripe of the helmet look towards the boundary side, the number 2 receiver to the boundary side, which is a post, and he sinks underneath the post and comes away with this football. This is such a smart coverage play. You don't see typically linebackers who have this type of feel and this natural understanding and this instinct in coverage. Like under call. 3 is not a threat. Let's get my eyes on the quarterback. Eyes on the quarterback. Oh, okay. He's looking to the middle of the field. Muasau understands that the defense is middle of the field open, that the quarterback right now is seeing 2 high safeties and that there is a soft spot behind Muasau. So Muasau gets his eyes on that quarterback and then sinks into that soft spot, effectively baiting him like he's Tyler Nubin and coming away with this interception. He had 5 career interceptions and 17 PBUs in college. It's nothing to scoff at for a freaking linebacker. And a lot of them were just him getting to the line of scrimmage and knocking the football down. But there were also plays like this, where he's reading the play, it's play action, RPO, get the football. Look, he's reading to see exactly what's happening, sees it's RPO. As he's getting blocked, he gets his eye on the quarterback and then intercepts this pass as the quarterback tries to put it over his head. See the communication again against Oregon. He's going to blitz, get his hand up, knock down the quick little spot route. Little plays like this can go a long way, man. Instead of on a 1st and 10, instead of going into 2nd down, 2nd and 4, 2nd and 3, 2nd and 10. This could be drive runners. And he's got that Dikembe Mutombo going on.
This floor problem.
Not in my house.
Here's another play where he misses the tackle, and that's something that is a blight. But watch. You see how the tight end, the 3, the innermost receiver, his job is to influence Muasau off the spot so the number 1 receiver can run this quick spot concept. And that's exactly what the offense is trying to do with Caleb Williams. But Muasau reads this well. Muasau does not get influenced by the number 3. He sees the number 1 coming from his peripheral vision from the outside to sit. And this is something I really respect about Muasau. He sees through receivers well to get positive identification on the quarterback and what the quarterback's intentions are. And he does that. He passes off number 3. And Caleb Williams is already rearing back to throw the football because Caleb Williams believes Muasau is going to be cleared off the spot by the number 3. Now Muasau, the athletic limitations doesn't allow him to click and close and drive down on this throw, as well as other linebackers and other players might have been able to do. But Muasau tees up this wide receiver and then just misses the tackle. And that's a great play by the wide receiver to feel exactly where Muasau is. But even though that's a missed tackle and not a great play for Darius Muasau, I still come away impressed with his ability to understand the concept and get off of that initial read and come off that initial assignment. Here he knocks down one of Caleb Williams' throws. And this play was even more impressive for me because he bites hard on the run fit because you can see how that offensive lineman is pulling. Offensive lineman pulls. He's reading his run key. See, he comes all the way down outside the numbers, and then he's able to gain depth and work underneath this throw, come away with the PBU. See it on the end zone. Oh, crap. That's not where I need to be. Gets back and hustles. And Caleb with a throw that, it was an on-target throw. It's just a good play by Muasau. Good hustle. Competitive toughness. Must be a coach's son. I love his physicality against Jalen McMillan. He's playing Washington. This is a 2022 snap. got this nub 3-by-1 set. And Jalen McMillan tries to run directly at Muasau, again, to clear him out. And Muasau just hits him. McMillan gets thrown off his spot. And then after the contact, Muasau is able to recollect himself, understand that it was a clear out, and there's a backside drag from the nub coming. Gets his eyes on Michael Penix. Penix throws a football, and the tight end drops it. But Muasau was right in position to make a play on that. Very smart player in coverage. Very smart player. You're going to hear me say that all throughout this breakdown. He's just a very smart player. Here we're going to see another physical play by Muasau. He's sugaring what looks like the B gap. He's going to bail and then just hit the wide receiver. Sit and stay against Colorado. Shedeur Sanders ends up getting down. There's another play in coverage that I respect. Kind of shows his comprehension of what offenses do. So he's going to drop to this hook, and now you're going to have a number 2 wide receiver who is wide open. Just UCLA is begging Shedeur Sanders to throw this football to the number 2. Look, the safety is well off, and then Muasau is going to work into that throwing window. And he works into that throwing window quick enough to where Shedeur Sanders doesn't pull the trigger. But not only does Darius Muasau eliminate the number 2 wide receiver, the inner wide receiver, he also works into the throwing window of that number 1 wide receiver who was coming across the formation as Shedeur Sanders was flowing to that side. He didn't just kind of stay and stick on this number 2, which a lot of linebackers do, depending on obviously what they're being coached. But you can just see how he's calm, Muasau. He's controlled. To me, it looks like he understands what offenses are doing, and he optimally positions himself to eliminate the quarterback's throwing windows when he is in zone coverage. He's making the most with what he has. I think that's a good way to put it. And you can see, again, he kind of does this. He's going to bail. The number 2 has an apex defender over the top of him, that overhang. So Muasau works over the top of that and then gets over to the number 1 wide receiver who was going up against a cornerback who was in outside leverage. It's assisting your teammates. These are just little things. To me, it means a lot because it shows that he understands what the coaching staff wants him to do. And he's able to execute upon that for the betterment of the entire defense. He's just a team player. That's what Darius Muasau, it comes off to me. Like, he's a team player who has his limitations. Comes off the drag route, lays a nice hit, make the tackle. Here he's stacked again. Get outside. Show some speed to get outside the numbers. You can see how it's not ideal speed, right? But he's coming from the far hash. He gets a beat on him. The running back beats him outside, but Muasau is able to adjust his path well enough to where, yes, he's surrendering some yardage, but it's not terrible, and he's able to force him out of bounds. He's not the rangiest guy. We're going to see some more speed outside the numbers, try to get there. He's going to capitulate some yards. It's the unfortunate thing. Here, diagnosing the screens. God, I love watching him diagnose screens like this. You see, just patient. Sees the offensive lineman climb, quick trigger downhill, get to the outside shoulder, lay the hit. Let the offensive player know about it. We're going to see again, same thing against Boise State. Just one against Arizona State as well. Easy read for him. Get outside, wrap the ball carrier up, bring him down to the deck. Here against Washington. It's another screen that he diagnoses. Acts like he's blitzing. Gets 74 to commit in protection. 21's able to get into the backfield because of that. Devin Colt makes the catch. Darius Muasau almost makes a tackle. This is where another aspect of his game is just like, can you just wrap up and make this play? And that could be a byproduct of the short arms and the lack of quality athletic traits. I think that's something that's plagued McFadden as well. And you'll see it kind of manifest on this play. This is a good indication on the change of direction and kind of a lack of fluidity when he has to quickly change direction, because he has this guy dialed up, and you can see it's just a little stiff, right, for an NFL athlete. And then he doesn't have the long arms to overcome the stiffness. And this is why he ends up being a 6th-round pick, because you're watching the tape, you're like, oh, this guy's a tackling machine. He's very smart. He's optimally placed. All those things are true. But at the end of the day, sometimes it's about the Jimmy and Joes, not about the James and the Josephs, who are scientists. We're very smart. But I still think he's a player who could see snaps on defense. And there's going to be an opportunity for him. I'm going to show you some plays of him kind of struggling to defeat blocks. This offensive lineman had a great angle on him, but you could just see how physically overmatched he can be when an offensive lineman can use his length to basically get inside his chest. This is a player who has like 31-inch arms, and as pro day was 30 and 7/8 inches, so less than 31 inches. His wingspan is small as well. Sometimes those realities are tough to overcome. You can see just kind of gets taken away and steered, but there's a double team on him as well. I want to be fair to the kid. Wish he just made the tackle, plays like this, because he sifts well. But then if the running back has a chance to go outside on the play, he's going to jump to the outside, and that limited tackle radius is hard to overcome. Yeah, just some missed tackles. Here he gets out there, just slight athletic limitations end up hurting him. And I'm not trying to be negative either, just trying to be fair. There's a reason why it was a 6th-round pick. I think if he was a 6'1", 6'2", 230, he's 228 pounds at his pro day. But if he was like 6'1", 6'2", with longer arms, slightly better athletic ability, this guy's not a 6th-round pick, not with the tape that he had. Now I want to watch him as a blitzer. This is one of the nicest pass rushing moves I saw from Darius Muasau. See, he's basically lined at a 4-eye in a 2-point stance. He's going to come in. That's a nice, agile move. Put your inside foot in the ground, open up the base of the offensive tackle and get his momentum going inward, and then use your hands. Your hands and your feet work together, and that is some nimble, crafty, Leatu Latu type of hand work right there, hand technique. That's control. That is beautiful by Muasau. This is a beautiful club, rip, feet are perfectly synchronized with your hands. I did not see a lot of that, though, on his tape. Now, there's another PBU you want to see. But I wanted to highlight that one. Him finding the soft spot between two blockers and then prying himself open like Jack Nicholson in The Shining.
Here's Johnny.
Here's one of his sacks. He had 16 and a half career sacks. 2021 out of Hawaii, he had 7 of those. Last year, he had 4. On this one, he gets chopped up and then he gets up and makes a sack. Like that's Darius Muasau in a nutshell right there. Get taken out. Okay, I'm just going to pop right back up because I am a tough damn player who hustles. You can see some strength on contact against a running back in pass protection. Again, he's not as talented as Micah McFadden was coming out of Indiana as a pass rusher. He can fill your role, though. I think, as I said, throughout this tape, though, the athletic ability and the physical limitations, they hurt his upside as a blitzer, too. But he's smart, understands what paths to take, uses his hands well when he's blitzing. You can see that they are craftier than you think, although it's not as maybe consistent as you'd like. And then this play, it looks like he just loses his footing, but you can see how he just changes direction, tries to get up. He has a quick trigger, but just loses balance on that play. There's some tightness with Muasau, but he's definitely a player that coaches are going to fall in love with, and he's going to be a core special teamer who I think can compete with snaps. And that's my breakdown on Darius Muasau, the UCLA linebacker who's now a member of the New York Giants after they selected him in the 6th round. Smart, tough, and dependable, of course. Joe Schoen loves those types of players, but somebody who is very smart. He's going to be the coach's favorite type of player who's going to understand where to be and when to be there. The Giants have struggled in the linebacker room with this specific trait of understanding how and where to be. Bobby Okereke fixed that, and I think Bobby Okereke helped Micah McFadden immensely last season. Also coincided with Micah McFadden having more experience under his belt. I think Micah McFadden is going to have the inside edge of starting next year. I'm not saying Muasau is going to dethrone him, but Muasau might earn snaps throughout the season if Micah McFadden continues to miss tackles. Now, the issue is Muasau misses tackles too, a 15.9 collegiate missed tackle rate. Those issues have to be rectified. But in the 6th round, you're telling me you're selecting a guy this productive, this smart, with Mike experience? I'm going to be interested. And I'm not saying Darius Muasau is going to be the player I'm about to mention, but we know Joe Schoen was a member of the Buffalo Bills. And they got a linebacker named Matt Milano out of Boston College who was smaller and athletically limited, but very freaking smart. I'm sure the long-term hope is for Muasau to be the next Matt Milano. That's the ceiling of all ceilings, and that would be amazing for Joe Schoen, who was the 163rd pick in the 2017 draft, a fifth rounder. That wasn't made by Brandon Beane and Joe Schoen, because remember, the 2017 NFL draft was really weird for the Buffalo Bills. Doug Whaley was their general manager. Doug Whaley did the draft, and then he was fired, and most of his staff was fired, and then Brandon Beane and Joe Schoen ended up coming in. So a very weird and odd draft for the Buffalo Bills. Nonetheless, that late fifth round pick ended up developing into one of the better linebackers in the National Football League in Matt Milano. Is Darius Muasau going to turn into that? That's an insanely high bar to set, but there are similar characteristics between the two players. And for a team that is so desperately needed linebacker depth, I think they got a reliable depth piece that they can insert if something happens to either of the other two linebackers. My only problem is everything I've said throughout the video, the athletic limitations. How will they manifest? Will he be able to play man coverage? Will he be able to stack and shed big offensive linemen at the NFL level? Those are all issues with his game that I'm uncertain about right now. But 6th round pick, his floor as a special teams contributor with the possibility of working in as a rotational linebacker, I can get behind that pick at that point in the draft. The football acumen is there. We just understand that sometimes you can have all the football acumen you need and it doesn't matter. But thank you for tuning in to this Darius Muasau breakdown, the New York Giants' new linebacker. Thank you, everyone. I'm Nick Filato signing off. Take care of each other and have a lovely day.